I'm Annika, and I'm on the marketing and education teams here at Dubsado. It probably won't surprise you to know that we love efficiency behind the scenes just as much as we do in our system. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you my best tips and tricks for a really awesome client kickoff meeting. Let's start by clarifying that a kickoff meeting is the first client meeting between you and your client. It's usually post-purchase, meaning they've already officially booked you. It's often related to a service, meaning there are many touch points that happen over a span of time. And a kickoff meeting can either be in person or it can be digital. These kind of meetings have so many benefits. You could honestly probably list some right now off the top of your head, including that kickoff meetings look professional and they help with communication. And for both of those reasons, it can be a really effective way to set the right tone with your client from the very beginning of working together. Kickoff meetings are also a great opportunity to add a human touch, which makes it easier to build client relationships. Kickoff meetings are a great opportunity to introduce some warmth, some personality, and hopefully foster that connection. They also confirm that your client made a good decision. It's not a reflection on you or your business or your service, but whenever a client has to part with money, it's pretty common for them to have a little bit of hesitance, a little bit of buyer's remorse. So starting with a really strong kickoff meeting at the beginning of the service can offset that and put them back on a positive trajectory. Last but not least, kickoff meetings save you time. And that's really the main objective of this lesson today. So I've put together 4 pointers that you can go through to make sure that your kickoff meetings are in fact saving you time. The first is to set a clear purpose. The second pointer is to maximize your meeting time. Third, automate the details before and after the kickoff meeting. And I'm even going to talk about ways you can go above and beyond with these kickoff meetings. So let's jump into the good stuff here. Setting a clear purpose. This is important because it helps to clarify the desired outcome for both you and your client. Examples are going to vary by industry here. If you offer something like a Dubsado setup service, an example of a clear purpose for your kickoff meeting could be to learn about your client's business and to understand their current pain points and hear from them what their expectations are. What would a successful setup look like in their eyes before you've done any of the legwork? If you offer a design service, a clear purpose of your kickoff meeting could be to establish the mood and aesthetic for this project together. So you could have a conversation about likes and dislikes. You could look at some inspirational images together. Maybe you even come with a mood board to get feedback in real time, and maybe you get approval in real time as well. If you offer a photography service, you probably want to touch on aesthetics as well. Another example of a clear purpose could be more about the logistics of the photo shoot. So you could talk about when and where this is going to take place, who's going to be involved, even a specific shot list of everything you want to make sure to include during the photo shoot. The action item for setting a clear purpose and also sticking to it is to create an agenda template. And the template piece means it's a bit more generic. So it has a couple different modules that you can easily swap in and out to still customize it for the client and the client's need without starting from scratch anytime you have a new kickoff meeting that's coming up. The second pointer is to maximize your meeting time. And this is important because it helps to keep your client engaged for the whole meeting. There is nothing worse than having a meeting with the client and they grab their phone in the middle. Maybe they take a call, maybe they respond to an email. The more that you are using your time really well, the less likely it is that your client is going to be distracted while you're meeting together. An example of an activity that you could include during this time that gets you a lot of impact in just a few minutes is to touch on your guidelines in person or, it could be digital if it is a digital meeting, but just while you have them face to face, you're using that time to talk about the expectations of working together. And this is an alternative or maybe in addition to sending written guidelines over to them. The idea is that by using this time during the meeting, you're hopefully sidestepping a scenario where you send written guidelines, the client doesn't really read them, they definitely don't absorb them, and you find yourself having to police the client multiple times during your project together. If you've talked about it during a kickoff meeting, you have the opportunity to see if they have any questions and at least get a verbal acknowledgement that they understand how this is meant to work. Another activity that can be really helpful here is to talk about the timeline for your project. So you can share the overall big picture timeline for how this is going to work, how much time it's going to take, when they can expect this project to be done, but also if the client has some homework that will impact the timeline, you can be really clear with them about when that is going to fall, how long it might take, and what the consequences are if they don't get it back to you according to the deadlines that you've outlined. Same goes for having a prompt client approval during a design process. You can lay out for them the expectations and the consequences if they change their mind or they are not quick to look at and give you feedback in a timely manner. Another activity that you can do during a kickoff meeting with your client is to spend some time brainstorming together. And I'm actually suggesting something really specific. So there are brainstorm exercises that are really structured that can help you to still be creative and aligned with your client without things running away from you and the client starting to suggest really difficult ideas that may be cool, but they're definitely out of scope of the project that you've worked on together. So the action item here is actually to research brainstorm exercises specific to your industry and to the purpose of your meeting that will help you to align with your client quickly. The next pointer is to automate the details before and after the kickoff meeting. This is important because it will help you to stay fully present when you're meeting together. Remember that this is a great opportunity to connect with your client and to build a relationship with them, and that's hard to do if you're distracted for whatever reason. If you are familiar with Dubsado, you're also going to be familiar with these examples here, but a kickoff process is also a really good candidate for using a lot of the features available. So you can use Dubsado templates for your emails and forms that you're sending over and over. You can use a scheduler to quickly find a time that works for both of your calendars, and you can use a workflow to make sure that no tasks fall through the cracks. The action item here is to create or capture a process for your kickoff meetings. This is what becomes the blueprint to help you identify pieces that you can set up and automate. We're also going to talk about some options for going above and beyond, and this is optional. However, if you do have extra energy and bandwidth, I really do believe it's worth your while, because when you go above and beyond to surprise and delight your clients, it makes it that much more likely that you're going to receive glowing testimonials and referrals. So some options of how you might do this include starting with an icebreaker, especially if you don't know the person very well. An icebreaker is a quick, efficient way to get to know them on a different level at the beginning of your project. Another opportunity for going above and beyond is to examine closely the context and details of the meeting. And this could mean so many different things, but to keep it kind of grounded, let's say you're having an in-person meeting at a coffee shop where the parking is always difficult. if you have put yourself in the client's shoes, then you can anticipate somebody coming to that coffee shop for the first time might not plan additional time in their schedule for looking for parking, and they might arrive kind of flustered and distracted, and that's not going to be good for either of you. So you can proactively avoid this hang up by adding some instructions about where to park, or even just the suggestion to allow a few extra minutes when that confirmation email goes out about your meeting. If you're meeting online, an example of going above and beyond could be to take visual notes together. Adding a screen in between two people does have a certain amount of distance, so you can counterbalance that by making it a bit more fun, and especially for visual learners, a lot more engaging to actually annotate on the screen with a digital pen, or maybe to use a collaboration tool where you can be taking notes on the screen that you're both looking at as you're talking through stuff. So the action item here is to create a customer journey map. This is a step-by-step process of everything that happens from the client's perspective so that you can take a look at that map and identify those areas where there's a bit of a roadblock to proactively make an adjustment in your process. To recap, an awesome kickoff meeting is a vehicle for providing excellent service. And for everybody in the service industry, that's huge. If you're also looking to elevate your kickoff meetings, I highly suggest these 4 action items. Number 1, to research brainstorm exercises that will help you achieve the purpose of your meeting. Number 2, to create an agenda template. Number 3, to create a customer journey map. And number 4, to automate your process using tools like Dubsado. Thanks for watching this lesson. If you have any tips or tricks for client kickoff meetings, let us know in the comments below.